Hello, everyone. Today is Saturday, March 7th, 2026, and this is day 4 of week 18 of India evening and weekend platoon. And today we're going to cover React Router. Um, in this context, what is a router? It does what?
Moves you to the right page or component
Yeah,
that you've clicked on or directs
yeah,
you to
that's
what you're trying to do.
yeah. It just it points you right to wherever you want to be, either the right component, the right page. Um, right? Pretty simple. But that concept is actually really important, and it gets a little bit more complicated when we start talking about what we're going to talk about today. Uh, client side, client side routing or server side routing. So this is probably the most important concept for today. Client side routing or server side routing. Uh, which one you think is better and why? And I'm literally just going to use the word better. Client side routing or server side routing? Which one do you think is better? Think about it. It's a 50-50, right? Use your brain. What's client side routing? How about that? The routing is done on which side?
The end user.
Yeah, I was gonna grab my phone. I don't have it with me. Yeah, your client side device, right? Like your phone. Cool. Routing, server side routing is done where? On a server, which is what?
Probably far away.
Yeah, probably far away. It could be in China or it could be in your closet. Depends which server, right? Sweet. Or it can be at an undisclosed AWS location, right? All right. Think
He
about it.
actually put that in the chat too,
Uh, uh,
2 minutes ago. I just saw it.
client side, UI. Sorry, I'm really bad at following the Zoom chat.
It's their resources computing.
Yeah, it's way faster too, right?
Yeah, they don't have to wait for anything.
No latency. Latency is in computing is just the time it takes between your request and a response. That's latency. How long something takes. Okay, so this concept of client-side routing and server-side routing is really, really important. We want to optimize for client-side routing as much as possible because it's way faster, way cheaper. Make sense? Remember when we talked about React and React was really, really, really important in the development of Facebook for the simple fact that, hey, we really don't want to do full page refreshes. Why?
Eats up bandwidth and processing
Yeah.
power.
Yeah, it's too expensive by any measure, by any definition that you want to use to measure expensive. It's just too expensive, right? It's too slow. So what we really want to do is if something changes, we really just want to modify or update a specific, very small component and avoid refreshing the entire page, right? Because that's expensive. So what do we want to do? We want to improve user experience by rendering faster, and we want to optimize cost by only updating the things that change, right? On Facebook, if my friend is online and their little circle is green, there's no need for me to update the entire page. If it goes offline, just update that component. Make sense? All right, so conceptually, this is really powerful. So that's what React Router is going to try. This is what today's lesson on React Router is going to try to explain. All right, React Router. The objectives for today: understand the importance of routing in a single page React application. Become familiar with React Router components and usage. Learn where to import and use browser router, routes, and route. And React Router is just, what do you think this is going to be? It's in here.
A library or a component.
Yeah, it's just a little library inside another little library, right? Inside actually a really big library, which is React. Make sense? Yes? So they built on React and then they realized, hey man, there's a lot of other cool functionality that we can implement, and they started creating small libraries for it. Make sense? And you can choose to use it and you can choose not to use it. You can download it on your project if it fits your use case. You can not download it in your project if it doesn't. Really simple. Okay, so these are our objectives. Become familiar with the React Router components and using them to render single page applications, right? Yes? Yes? Okay, let me show you an example here. What's the best way to do this? Okay, here we go. You ready? Yes? Let's do something non-controversial that you can see it's already in my favorites. I'm going to go to ESPN.com. ESPN.com loads. Yes? I go to Yahoo.com. That loads. Yes? Those are full page renders. Yes? That's very different than doing this. I'm going to go to Reddit. I'm going to click on discussion. All right, I'm going to go back. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to go back. I'm going to click on discussion, and I want you to pay attention to the entire page. What's the only thing that changes here? Take in all of Reddit right now. I'm going to click on discussion. What's the only thing that changes there?
Post content.
Yeah, this post content. It comes. I get into this subreddit called Facebook, right? Did you notice all the outline of the entire page? What happened to it?
Nothing.
Yeah, nothing. Right? Only this inner component changed because it's the only one that needed to change. Not even this changed. Right? This stayed the same. This stayed the same. All this stayed the same. All this stayed the same. The only thing is that the change is this. So this type of rendering, right, is very different than when I went to ESPN. All right, and yes, they're both different web pages, right? But this, right, single page, right, and it just rendered the component that I needed, left everything else the same, right? So this type of render and just going to a fresh new page are completely different. It's not the same kind of rendering. So conceptually, you just have to understand that. Yes? And that's the magic of React. All right, cool. All right, so why use React Router? In a single page React application, React Router allows you to manage navigation and rendering of components based on URL. This is going to be really important here. These are going to be your routes. You're going to manage the navigation within your page based on URLs, right? So it's going to be, you're going to be, let's go, my webpage.com, right? This is going to be your root, typically identified by just a /, right? And then you're going to have the rest of your routes, something like this, like, let's say you have a user, right? This could be user, whatever. Let's just give it a number 234, right? And then if you're searching, maybe you're updating your user profile, right? You're going in something like this, right? In a single page application that's routing based on URLs, this is a complete route. This looks like a nested route too. Remember when we used Craigslist? Right. So this means that I'm at my web page, right? It appears that I'm logged in. We'll get into authentication later. I'm not going to mess that up. I'm not going to introduce that right now, but we will get into authentication. It seems like I'm logged in to some user, right? And it looks like, just based on the URL, that I am doing something within my profile. Make sense? Cool. So that's just a made up example right there, but that's more or less the concept. All right, so this provides a seamless user experience by making it possible to create multi-page applications without needing full page refreshes. That's the most important line in this little paragraph. Using React Router allows us to navigate within our application based on URLs, and it makes it possible to create multi-page applications without needing what?
Whole page refreshes.
Yeah, whole page refreshes. And we want to avoid all full page refreshes if we can avoid it, because
They take too long. Too many resources.
take too long, too many resources. Does Facebook still have like 1 billion active users across their platform? I know that was true maybe a couple years ago. I don't know what the Facebook situation is right now, but imagine 1 billion active users. How many API calls is that daily? Jesus, I would hate to speculate. Hundreds of billions? I don't even know. I'm making up a number at this point, but a ton, right? I said, that's crazy compute, crazy energy usage. Like, I don't even know. And I would hate to be one of their accountants, right? Like, those numbers are almost, I can't even understand them, intractable almost. Okay, so there you go. That's the whole beauty of React Router. Hey, we're trying to avoid any and all full page refreshes if we can help it. Let's navigate based on URLs and just update small components, right, as we see fit. All right, so this is ideal for your application where maintaining perpetual states for features like authentication, dashboard interactions are integral to a smooth user experience. Now, this may not make a lot of sense to you right now, right? But it will later, right? We're going to talk about state. I think it's the next lesson, so we're not going to really touch on it today. But I mentioned authentication earlier with my makeshift website. And that's really important because some of the routes or the paths of an application, you need to be logged in for X, Y, and Z reasons. Does that make sense? Yes, like I think earlier in the week I went to Netflix and I could navigate the Netflix website just fine. But if I wanted to watch any of the good content, I needed to be signed in. Why? Because they needed to make sure they really just wanted to authenticate that I paid, right? That I'm a paying user. That's it. So let's go here to Reddit here. Reddit does it as well. I don't know if there's a Reddit premium, but I know that if I go to ads, right? Look at the Reddit website. If I hit ads here, what's it going to force me to do?
Make an account.
Yeah, make an account, right? And eventually, if this is ads, so it feels like it's for people or companies that want to advertise on Reddit. I'm going to definitely have to create an account. I'm going to have to validate that account. I'm probably going to have to throw down a credit card, right? If I want to create an account, if I want to create an ad, right? So this is a protected route on Reddit. I can surf all the Reddit communities that I want. I don't necessarily have to be logged in on Reddit, but if I want to be the same user on Reddit, I have to be logged in, right? And also it appears that if I want to post an ad on Reddit, I have to be logged in, right? Because eventually my user, it looks like it's going to be tied to payment information. Make sense? Cool. I've never advertised on Reddit. I'm just jumping to pretty reasonable conclusions here, right? Okay. So this is ideal for applications maintaining perpetual state, and then I mentioned authentication here offhandedly, and we'll get into that next week. All right, so we'll be following the first half. So today's lesson is really just following the first half of the official React Router starter tutorial. And the remainder of the tutorial will be set aside as a stress challenge. You'll see. But before we get into the rest of the tutorial, we're going to create a React project together. And this is kind of one of those things that I kind of want everyone to follow along. So you have a good starting point, because at one point in the lesson, we're just going to stop and I'm going to tell you, hey, take it from here. Make sense? So I would like you to kind of walk through this lesson with me, because it's long, it's confusing. All right? Yes? All right. So I told everyone to create some kind of folder that's empty, and we're going to run this right from the beginning. And I have a little page here, and we're just going to follow along here. Cool. All right. So this is the command for creating a React project using Byte. Yes? This, you can use either of them, but I'm going to use this. Yes? All right, so everyone, please follow along. Try not to get lost. I'm going to go relatively slow. This is nothing. I literally created a folder a minute ago called React. So there's nothing in this folder. See? None in this folder. All right, and I'm just going to walk through it with you. So please follow along. I'm going to create the project. Boom. Project name. I am going to call it just demo project. You can call it whatever you want. And I am going to use React. Enter. I'm going to use JavaScript. Use beta. No. Press no. Install with npm. Yes. All right. It's going to build my project. Cool. There you go. You should have something like this. And if you follow the README actually always messes something up. And we're going to pull this up just to make sure. Sanity check here. Make sure it's up. And it is up. Sweet. I'm going to close this out. This is a mistake a lot of people make. Make sure to CD into your demo project, right? Because if you don't, the very next command, yeah, no one. Because if you don't, the very next command is literally to install all the dependencies that you need. And React router DOM is the one we're going to be using today. So this is the command that they give you to install these dependencies, because this is what we're going to use. Don't worry about this extra stuff. It says, hey, if you run into an npm issue, you probably didn't. I ran this earlier and no issues. Okay, so now CD into your project, whatever you called it. I called mine demo project. Then I'm going to download those dependencies in here. Right there. It's just a copy paste. I'm downloading these dependencies that I'm going to use. Boom. Okay, that was pretty quick. So I'm going to well, I don't have to LSLA. I can just click on it, right? I can click on it, and I can actually go into node modules, right? And I can look in here to see all the stuff that I downloaded, right? I can just roll in here. What do you notice right there in my node modules? I'm hovering over it.
React
That's my
libraries.
Yeah, that's my library, right? That's what I downloaded. That's what I'm going to use today. We've been talking about React router. Yes, it's right there. Cool. I have it. Awesome. There you go. And I know that if I go in here, so I downloaded my dependencies correctly. I am in the right folder. I'm going to go to source. And remember, if I just kind of bootstraps your application, and there's a bunch of chunk in here that I'm really not going to use. So this paragraph at the end, don't need it. Right, then it leaves me with one div and a bunch of this stuff. And everything inside the div I don't really need. And I need to make sure that, hey, this is working properly. So I always just do like a yellow, little H1 there. Let's reload the project, make sure I haven't screwed up npm run dev. Make sure I didn't screw anything up. Cool, yellow. Everyone has gotten to this part, yes? It's going to get significantly more complicated, so stay with me. All right, cool. All right, so we're here. We created our React project using Vite. We installed the proper dependencies. We didn't run into any of these like, oh, I can get rid of this, right? I always forget that. I can get rid of this. Okay, cool. I didn't run into any npm dependencies or anything like that. So we'll ignore this. No need to do it. Here it says, hey, the first file you want to copy over is index CSS. What I don't want anyone to do is when you go to day 4, I'm going to open this up actually. When you go to day 4, there's a source folder, right? What I've noticed a lot of, not just you guys, every group, when we do it this way and we need to be more explicit actually as instructors, whoever's dealing with this curriculum, is you guys will git clone the source and then you'll get confused in the folders. Don't copy it over like that, right? Just have it open on a website and then just copy it like a Neanderthal. And that's how I'm gonna walk through it right now. Yes? Okay. So here. So this source folder has all the code that you're going to copy and paste. You're literally just going to copy and paste it over. But I'm just going to have it open here and I'm literally just going to highlight, copy, paste in the right place, right? Because I've realized that when you guys clone it and then start moving folders, you get lost in your directories and then you don't know which way is up. All right, so here we'll be a little bit more methodical about it. We know our project works, right? And the first thing it says, hey, we're going to ignore this because we didn't get this boilerplate code. You're going to get a bunch of boilerplate code in this lesson that you're not going to have to write. You're just going to have to copy paste. You just have to know where it goes. All right. So boilerplate code, starter code, it's all in here in your source folder right here, day 4 for today's lesson. Right. So the first file you want to copy over, it says the index CSS. And the index CSS is actually going to go in here. Right, so I can go in here. I'm going to go look. Here's my index CSS. Cool. It says, hey, I need all of the. Oh, I can copy raw, right? I can just copy. Yeah, copy raw file. Click this button right here. And I'm just going to go in here. And this is my main source file. And I'm literally just going to replace everything. Boom. Save. That's it. And I'm just going to follow the instructions as it says. That's it. Cool. Alrighty, so that says, hey, you want to copy over your index CSS. I just did it. I literally just grabbed it from here. Now I'm going to go back to my source and I'm going to stay right there. Awesome. Right, so now I'm going to adding a router and a router provider, right? React Router 6.4 introduced an entirely new set of data APIs designed to decouple fetching and rendering data. This might seem a little confusing. Can anyone tell me what fetching data is?
API calls.
Yeah, that's it. API calls, fetching data. That's it. What is rendering data?
Presenting those API calls
Yeah, presenting that information to who?
to the user.
Yep, end user. End users mean you, typically. And this idea of end user is actually really important. People, when at least I did, and I think a lot of people do, when they get into web dev or software engineering, they think that they're going to actually work on a product that people see, that the public sees. That's not true. Actually, most devs, they work on stuff that who sees?
Other devs.
Yeah, that's it. Right? Just other devs. And regular everyday people never get to see their work. And that's probably more common than that, right? All right, cool. All right, so we talked about fetching and rendering data. This is required. This is a required introduction of new components that require a specific syntax. So that's what we're going to go over right now, the syntax of this new React router. Unlike the components used later in today's challenge, create browser router and router provider are designated to be used outside of the React tree with a statically defined set of routes. Let's start by importing these components and creating a constant to assign the router to. So now we're going to go inside the main JSX, right here. And we're going to import this right here. I'm going to create a little bit of a mess here, but that's okay. We'll clean it up later. I'm going to grab these two imports first. And here, just understand, hey, we're importing these components, right? And we're importing right here from React Router DOM, which is what we installed earlier. Here, what do you notice about line 6? I haven't done what?
Created that
Binding
file.
it.
Yeah, I haven't created. Notice it doesn't seem like I have that directory at all. And I definitely don't have that file, but it's okay. We're going to get there. As long as you understand these import statements and what they're saying, we're good for right now. Sound good? All right, cool. Now we're going to create this. Now we're just going to copy this other thing, and it's saying, hey, this is create browser router. All right, so this is kind of, give me 1 second. Let me copy and paste, and I can't copy and paste and think at the same time. Create browser router, you can think of it as like the brain of React Router, right? It's going to allow your page to create all the specific paths and routes in your application and kind of tell everyone where to go. Make sense? It's kind of the thinking center. So what's happening now is we're actually about to wrap the entire application with this brain. Does everyone understand what's happening here? So I know that that's not that eloquent, but we're going to go into, give me 1 second. Check out this line. It says, unlike the components being used later in today's challenge, create browser router and router provider are designed to be used outside the React tree with a statically defined set of routes. What does that
That'd be
mean?
like the old school operator that's sitting behind the telephone lines, like back in the day, and they're switching.
Yeah, but that's pretty much what I told you, right? Create browser router is kind of the brain. It's what's going to be doing that. But this line right here is telling you what? This is actually hard to understand. Can anybody make sense of this? What is this
Is it showing-
line saying?
Is it showing the hierarchy of how that's going to fall? So like, I'm just guessing that if you pull your n square bracket parenthesis on line 14 and you move that just below the create root, that nests it inside of that whole brain, right?
Yeah. So these are the only two components that are going to wrap the entire application because the entire application, right, needs to use the brain. All the other components will be within your app. Does everyone understand that? That's actually kind of hard to follow. But these are the only components that are actually going to be kind of above the app level. Make sense? Because this applies to the entire application regardless of route. Because all those routes need someone to tell them what to do and what to render. And the brain does that. Okay, kind of hard to follow, but keep that in mind. All right, so here we created this, right? And then here it says within the render expression, which is right here, right? It says within the render expression, call router provider, passing in your newly created router object as a prop. Router providers created to enable the use of React Router's data APIs are called in place of traditional browser routers and routes, allowing for an extra layer of abstraction between the configuration of static routes and the routes being rendered. All right, so here we're just going to copy and paste this right here. Actually, before I do that, I want you to pay really close attention here. This is really important. And I know I mention it a lot, but it's going to mess everyone up here. I want you to pay very close attention to the code on line 18 to 22 and compare it to the code on line 24 to 28. Take a minute and look at that code. To give you some hints right there. What's happening here? Can anybody piece it together? There seems to be a disconnect here.
So when you decided to use this router now instead of create root being the root, the React DOM is, and then you replace strict mode with React as well. So the React router is kind of taking over the render section.
Yeah, but yes, that is exactly what happened, right? I'm pulling this specific functionality from something slightly different, right? But you just saw me create this React project, and this is what came in it. But I'm copy and paste this. What is happening here? That's what I'm trying to get to.
Router's a different library, so that other library imported it in, right? Or module, is that what it would be in this case?
Yeah, but you're not touching on I think I'm doing a poor job
Is it
explaining.
is the navigation is controlled by React and the other one isn't?
No, they're both React router, right? This is telling you something. And I don't expect anyone necessarily to get this, but just want you to think about this. Something's outdated. Which one's outdated?
The
The bottom one.
lines 18 through 21.
Yeah. So what ended up happening was the engineers over at Facebook continue to push updates to React. Yes. I just created this literally a minute ago. Yeah. You were here. This is what they're giving me. This is what's in the README. This is old. This is right. Well, I wouldn't say that they're both right. You can run both. You can run both. Both will work. Right? But this is really how it should be done. We're going to do it the slightly older way because that's how the documentation is written, right? But the only difference here is that, hey, you don't have to prepend React DOM or import it anymore, right? We're going to do it this time, right? But then I'll show you how you can just run both. But that's really important to understand, right? That when libraries are updated, right, syntax changes slightly sometimes. Does everyone understand that?
So which is the latest version of it? 'Cause
You
the
should
bottom
be able
one,
to
right?
answer that question.
The bottom one though, that's the one that comes with it, right?
Yes, there you go.
And the one on top is the one that you copy and paste. So it's supposed to be the one before that one, right?
I don't know what you mean by the one before that one.
The one you copy from the repository, you paste it right on top of it. But
Yes,
they're all doing the same thing, right?
yes.
Okay.
But it's really important that you understand the difference, right? That versions change and syntax changes. Yes, and implementation sometimes changes. Remember a while ago I talked about like fixing dependencies on an old project and why that was a nightmare? This is in part of the reason, or actually a very large part of the reason, right? Because the syntax changes. Yes, that is correct, Yi. We're going to run it with the old code, but I'll show you that, hey, you could run it with the new code if you understood what was happening just as well. Make sense? All right, so here we go. We're going to run it with the old code. I'll just delete it for now. I can always paste it back. Okay, cool. We're going to run a slightly old code here. That's totally fine. All right. Let's run it, right? We just copied and pasted something. We changed something, so we should probably run it and check, hey, did it break anything? Let's roll. Oof, did break something. What's the issue here?
Missing directory.
Yeah, missing directory here. for right now, I haven't created that. I haven't got to that part of the lesson. So let's just comment that out. Yeah. Let's comment it out for right now. It's there. We'll activate it here in a second. But we really want to check if what works right now.
Your render command that you just put in there.
Yeah.
Lines 18 through
Yep.
22.
Yep. All right. Cool. Refresh it. Still not working. That's okay. We can continue for right now, right? But we know that, hey, this is not created, so we're going to get to it here in just 1 second, right? We really just want to check, hey, if all of it, I'm making all of these changes, right? Is our application still up? And to kind of make very small changes piecemeal and render them, right? Pretty frequently, at least early on, is actually really important for your development process, especially when you're early on, because when you build something or you copy paste a lot without checking, it eventually becomes, you get lost in the code a little bit. All right, cool. So this is not working right now. We're going to continue. We commented this out. That's the right move for right now. But it appears that we don't have everything in place yet. Right. So the only thing we've done, mind you, the only thing we've done is on main.jx, right? We've imported this stuff, right? And we've changed how we render our application. Is everyone following along so far? Yes? Okay. Sweet. Look at this code right here. What's wrong with it? If I ask you just to read this code, what's wrong with it? I'll give you a hint though. There's an issue with imports here.
You just mean all the unused imports, or
That we're not going to mess with that for right now. Yeah, some of those things are not being used, right? But notice what I was given. See if I can control these here. Remember the difference here? This is what I was given, right? But it feels like, based on the README, it's using two things that I have not imported yet. Anybody tell me what those two things are? And I don't think this is a README, so this would have messed you up anyway.
The react.strict mode and then react dom.create root.
Yep.
Instead of
And
just
you don't. Yep, you don't have to remember where to import these, right? But this is missing React, right? And then here you're missing React DOM. I don't even know what it is. Is it DOM? Yep. There you go. So you're missing those actual imports. Notice how in the new version they get rid of them. But in the old version, which is what the README says, right? Hey, you need to import them. And that's actually not in the README. So you would have eventually have to figure that out. Now, does this, we know that this right here needs to be commented out for right now, right? And if we run this, do we get anything different? I don't know. Nope, still broken. That's okay. But at least we know that when we look at this, this should be complete for right now. I mean, granted, we are, right? We are rendering this. We are rendering this. And if you're following exactly what's happening right now, notice line 20, we're trying to render this component. Router, this is a component, this is a brain, it's trying to render this root element. And what's the problem? We don't have it. That's why it's not showing anything. All right, so but it's fine. We're walking through it. All right, so we finished this. We copied all this. We got all the imports right. We're in good shape. All right, so now kind of what I was saying, hey, what's the missing component here is our routes. It says, hey, create a routes folder inside of source. Cool. Inside of source, we're just going to create routes. Cool. In here, and one of the routes is going to be called root JSX. So that's this one. We're actually now the next step is create that. I'm going to uncomment it. I'm going to go in here and create that root JSX. Root.jsx. Does it have to be capitalized? I don't even know. I'm gonna leave it. No, okay. I'm gonna leave it non-capitalized. I'm actually not sure what the correct way is to do it. We'll leave it lowercase for now. Alrighty. So, oh yeah, it says lowercase. Okay, cool. It says root JSX, and here it points you to that root JSX, right? But if you have this open in another tab, you can go into routes, and it says, hey, copy over root JSX. So I'm going to copy it over. I'm going to hit this copy raw file right here. Boom. Our root JSX is empty. I'm going to drop it in there. Awesome. Save it. It says grab the code from here, punch it into the repo. Then it goes into, hey, while we're at it, let's also create a contact.js file. We're going to wait on this, and we're going to run our application, check if that fixed it, right? Because the problem earlier was that, hey, we don't have this. This brain is trying to render this root element in our application at the top level, and we don't have it. Now that we do have it, is our application going to come up? Let's try. Is it up? Yes, it's up. We're good, right? I mean, none of this stuff works. Oh, yeah, whatever. But hey, oh, sorry. But hey, our application's up. Yes? So we didn't mess it up. Now, our application is effectively using our brain that's going to route everything. Yes? If you had to guess on this main JSX file, where do you think a lot of our routes are going to go? Or all of our routes for that matter.
After root and element.
Yes. And why is that, Logan?
Just makes sense. I don't know.
It's the brain, right? The brain has to know everything. That is the right answer. It doesn't matter how you know. That is the right answer. Look at create browser router is our brain, and it has to have access to all routes. It can't direct traffic, right? If it doesn't have access to it, right? Can't direct, can't tell you where to go if it doesn't know. But if it does know, it can do that. It can do its job. Awesome. So right now we're displaying root, and root is just this component right here. Boom. Sweet.
Real
Sweet.
quick, I
Yeah.
don't know if anybody else had this problem, but mine actually didn't load, and it was because of the capitalization of root.jsx. Because it's imported as a capital right there on line 6.
Oh, let's rename it. Sorry about that. I don't know if that was going to cause an issue, but yeah, just rename it. There you go. And I think I never write React professionally, but I think they are capitalized components. I want to say I'm almost positive they are. So capitalize your components, guys. That's just kind of one of those things. All right, cool.
Let me check what you have on root, because mine is now. Right. Okay.
What I have in root JSX is literally just what I copied from here. Look at routes in root JSX in the repo. Just copied and pasted it. That's it.
Thank you.
All right, cool. So our app is up now. So again, periodically check, make sure we didn't break anything. Now we're going to walk to the very next step. It says, while you're at it, let's also create a contact.js file in your app's source directory, right? So we're going to go to source. We're going to create a file called contact.js, contact.js. I guess that's what they want, contact.js. Contact.js file in your app source directory. These are custom functions that we'll need for this demonstration later on. Okay, so we're just going to copy and paste into the contact.js file, and then later on, we're going to need it. Okay, not sure why, but let's just follow the demo. We're going to go to source, and here it is. Here's your contact.js file right here, right? We're going to copy raw. We're going to go over to our text editor, contact.js. We're just going to double check and make sure I don't screw anything up. I screwed something up. It's not contact, it's contacts. Messed up the name again. Contacts. Boom. Contacts.js. Then I'm going to paste it. Boom. These are, let's just step through them really quickly. These are literally just async functions, it looks like, that are going to do things. Yep. This is a get contacts. This is a create contact, get contact, update contact. This is kind of sounding like what functionality here? Delete contact. It's kind of sounding like what?
CRUD.
CRUD. There you go. Create. Read. Update. Delete. Right? CRUD. Sweet. So we're going to use these async functions to CRUD later. Awesome. So we created the Now I'm super confused. I'm sorry. Give me 1 second. Okay. This is what I'm checking. Just give me a second. If you look at the repo, there's a contact.jsx and then there's a contacts.js. Don't confuse them. And that's kind of what I'm working through right here. Trying to make sure that I didn't screw this up. Contacts.js. I think the README is wrong. Yeah, this is contacts.js. No, I'm not going to make a pull request, but that's wrong. It's contacts. All right. As long as you got that, we're good. All right. These are custom functions that we're going to use later for what? CRUD. We just looked at it. All right. Try rendering the app. Check if you notice anything. Sure. Why not? Make sure I didn't screw anything up. Refresh. What do I notice? Did some of the, I'm getting this 404, not found. All right, cool. That's really the only thing I noticed. And then the new thing doesn't work. And I keep navigating away from my page. Totally fine. Okay. So try rendering the app, interacting with it. As we've done so far, notice anything? Yeah, I noticed that some of the buttons give me 404 is now found. Okay. So our default error screen in React Router is suggesting we provide something a little more user-friendly. And what we're about to create now is like a default error page. Does everyone understand that? Yes? And applications, when their servers are down, they create error pages. They create a multitude of different error pages for different scenarios. But sometimes they'll have a catch-all error page for when things aren't working, i.e. their computers are down, their servers are down. Does everyone understand that? Okay, that's what we're going to create right now. So we're going to go into source, and then we're just going to create an error page JSX. Sure. We're going to go into source. And we're going to create this error page.jsx. Cool. Error page JSX. Says right there. And then you can literally just go to the repo and go to your error page JSX. This is it. You can copy it. You can copy it raw, whatever. Drop it into error page.jsx. Awesome. I didn't have to restart it, but I'm going to restart it. Okay, so now I have an error page. Let's kind of keep stepping through it. We created it. Awesome. Now let's render it. We're going to go into the main JSX here, right? Remember the brain. We're going to import this error page we just created right here. Boom, drop it right there. Just importing, nothing fancy. Right? And notice what they want me to do. They want me to copy and paste this right here. Well, this is my brain. I just created the error page. I just imported it. I just want to drop it right here. Brain, drop error page, drop a catch-all error page if something doesn't work quite right on my application. Cool. Let's test it. Let's check if it's rendering properly now that we have an error page. So I'm going to go to my demo. I'm going to click on your name. What do I expect to see? If this works properly.
The new error page.
What's the new error page? What's it going to say?
Oops, sorry, an unexpected error occurred.
Okay, let's see. Sweet. Can be anything, right? Yes? There you go. Awesome. And it looks like it works. Notice we didn't get the 404. We got our own, whatever we wanted to put there. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So there you go. We are here at the error page, right? Let's look at error page here. Error pages grant us direct control. Oh, give me 1 second. Give me 1 second before. Actually, I'm going to wrap up at error page and then we'll come back to my idea. Okay. Error pages grant us direct control to styling and how we communicate unexpected behavior to the user. The use route error component provides error responses as a status text object, allowing us to inform users accordingly while avoiding infinite spinners, unresponsive pages, and blank screens. Here's a thinking question for everyone. Use your noodle. If you create an application like Netflix, and the engineers at Netflix did not create error pages for their application, and there comes a day where all their servers are down, and a user like myself tries to reach Netflix.com, what will I see and who decides it? Remember, they have no error pages. So if I try to go to Netflix.com, what will I see and who decides it?
Is it browser based?
Cloudflare.
Yeah, it's whatever the default browser is, right? Whatever the browser does. And so this is I kind of dug myself a hole here because I don't know that much about it, but I do know this, that depending on if you use Chrome or DuckDuckGo or Mozilla Firefox, they're going to react slightly different because they have different code and different engines that power each of those three things. If you use Safari, it's going to be a little different, right? So what happens here, right? You lose control of the user experience based on browser. It defaults to whatever the browser is going to do. It could just hang with a white page. Does everyone understand that? And depending on which browser you're using is going to show different things. That kind of starts to sow chaos and lack of trust on the company. In order to control the narrative, control the user experience, they need to create these error pages, right? Because they want everyone to see the same thing. Yeah. This is more of just a thinking exercise, but kind of important and kind of cool. Alrighty, so that's error pages. We're going to talk about routing additional components here in just 1 second. Right now, what we created was just a catch-all error page. Let's roll with this right here. Let's go new main. New. I know we're going to take a break after this. Sorry, guys. We're going to take a break right after this. We're not going to just plow through. All right, cool. I'm going to close all this. I'm going to close all this. Close all this. Do. Make this jumbo. Boom. This is incomplete. I don't have the error page here, but I'll bring it over. Why not? I need to make them even here. Give me 1 second. Just literally doing this on the fly. All right, what's the difference between these two files? In its most simplest terms, one's using what and the other one's using what?
One's using that React DOM, the other one's not the router.
Yeah, that's it. One of them's using newer syntax and the other one isn't, right? Remember I told you that when I bootstrapped this React project, it came with the new syntax. It came with this, right? But our README had this. There's really no way you can ever really keep up with how fast technology moves. So this is just an inherent thing of software development, right? But this is what our application's loading. This is a real main, right? But if I was just to, this shouldn't break anything, right? Am I even running that? Yeah, right. Still works, right? Yeah. I copied over the new syntax onto main. It's new syntax, but it's gonna function just the same. Right? Now I can go Control C here on the left and go back to my old syntax. Right? Here's the new syntax. I'm actually just gonna drop it in the chat. Feel free to play with it and use it. It's not gonna break anything. Give me 1 second. Yeah, I just dropped it in the chat. It's not gonna break anything. It's just understanding that, hey, development moves quickly, right? And readmes are just never going to be able to keep up ever. Too much, too fast. But understanding what's happening and be able to read it and decipher the libraries and what's happening, super valuable. This is something AI is not particularly good with yet. They're really bad with that. Kind of understanding the nuances of versioning and dependencies and old and new. A lot of the, sometimes it annoys me. It'll give me deprecated code that I can't use. When people say deprecated, it's just old code that is not really supported anymore. So you can use it, but if it breaks something, no one's going to help you. Make sense? Cool. Alrighty, this is the old one. This is the new one. I just created a new main there, but yeah, it's not going to affect anything. Cool. I'm going to make this back small. We're going to go back to this and we're going to talk about routing additional components, but I've ran for like an hour here. So let's be back at 9:30. Let me pause. Let me stop my share. Let me pause the recording. Alrighty. Hope you had a nice, enjoyable little break. So far, we've actually only created one route, right? That's the main route here, which looks like a little nav, little vertical nav menu with your name, your friend. It looks like we're going to be able to add contacts of some type. All that functionality doesn't work. And then the other little route is the error page. So that's all we have. The next thing we're going to talk about is adding additional components, because in reality, we really only have we have one main component and then the error component, right? That's it. Okay, so our next component and route, let's create an about page and a contact page. So it's giving you little Linux commands here to create both of these pages inside of routes, right? So I'm just going to create them here first. So this is a contact and an about. So inside of routes, we are going to, why is it still showing the numbers? I'm like weirded out by that. Give me 1 second. I think I pressed it again and then it just did that. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Let's create our two little routes, about.jsx and contact.jsx. They're empty. And we don't have to actually write any code for it at all. We can literally just go to a repo. And I know in here there has to be, there you go. In routes, there has to be a contact.jsx, which is here, copy. Let's drop it in there. Done. And then there has to also be a about JSX. Here we go. Copy. About JSX. Boom. Drop it in there. Save. Cool. That works. That's it. That's all it asked me to do. Hey, create these two routes and just copy all the code. Done. Now I can go to my main JSX file, which is here. And I need to import which two routes? This actually only has one of them, but you need to import both.
About and contact.
Yep. So let's copy this right here. Let's copy it. And in main JSX, let's paste it twice, right? Let's paste it twice. And one of them is contact, but the other one is about. And those are the two things we just created, right? Boom. Now it appears that I'm erroring out, which is totally, totally fine. We can look at it if you want. And this is really simple. This is not contact, but this is about, right? And that's what I was complaining about. We are back up. Sweet. This is giving me squigglies. Why? What error is this? Does anybody know what this is called? It's an unused what?
It's usually not referenced, right?
Yeah, it's an unused import. Cool. Alrighty. So our app is up. It's working. Now we get to our brain again, and we have root, and then we have our error page, our only two elements. But then it does something kind of funky. It does this. Let's start here, because this is an easy one. About. Let's just grab this one. This one's easy. Why is this one easier than the children one? This is the only thing that's different, right? If you compare what we have here on the left to the README, the only difference is this. I'm going to move over element first, and I'm going to move this one over first because it's easy. And why is it easy? Because it's not what? It doesn't appear to be what?
You guys know the GIF where he's like a child. He looks at the camera.
No, I don't know
Nobody
where
knows it. Oh yeah, I'm gonna find it.
Post it in the chat. In the Slack, sorry. All right, what do we notice about we created two elements just now, right? We literally copy pasted two elements. We created about and we created contact. About seems to be pretty straightforward, like we've seen before, but the other one seems slightly more complicated. What do you think is happening here? Take a wild guess. Has anyone ever seen Office Space to jump to conclusions, Matt? Have I mentioned that in this class before? I mentioned it in a meeting on Friday. People were laughing really hard. Anyway, jump to a reasonable conclusion here. What's happening? It kind of gives it away under path. We have what here?
Multiple routes in the contact JSX.
Not necessarily. Yeah, that's one way to phrase it, but I'm looking for a key word here. The routes are what? Keyword children also gives it away. You have what kind of
They're
routes here?
nested.
Nested routes. That's the word I was looking for. They're nested here, right? So we're going to drop it in there, not knowing exactly how this all works. We're going to drop it in there, see what's up. Did I screw that up? I'm going to go Control Z again. No, that was right. Boom. Children. Let me back this bad boy up. And I'll tab this over. Is that right? And then bring children out more. Oh, my spacing was all messed up. Yep, that's close enough. All right, cool. So this appears to be some kind of nested route. We're going to mess with this later, right? But the about one seems pretty straightforward, very similar to error and element, right? Pretty straightforward. All right, cool. So you may have been expecting that we created 2 additional objects in the list. We have, but they're nested. And that's exactly what we were just talking about. They're nested under a children key within the root component. This allows us to treat contact component as a child of the root component. This is really, really important. They are going to treat contact as a child of root. Let's look at the syntax here. It says element root, and then you have your little error page. But as part of root, they're actually going to treat contact, right, as a child component. Let's see this in real life. Let's go to Reddit. We ready? We're looking at Reddit. If I click on discussion here, what's the only thing that changes? Do it again. I'm going to click on discussion here on this Facebook post by Ayazuddin. I'm going to click on it. Look at the entire page. What's the only thing that changes? Just this little center component, right? This little middle piece. Yes? Difference between this page and the minute that I click here is just this little middle piece, right? Am I right?
Yep.
All the nav bars and stuff stay the same. I think there's a little bit of spacing here with this gray bar, but outside of that, all this stays the same, right? This tells you that what? This middle component is a child of what? You don't have to be completely accurate here, and we're not going to dig into the console log, the dev tools to figure this out because it doesn't really matter. Conceptually, though, you understand that this component is a child component of what?
The page.
Yeah, whatever the big page component is. I don't know what it's called. We're not going to look into it. Could we find it? Yes, we're not going to. The big component that encompasses all of this, including the nav bar, the search bar, all of this, this nav bar over here, right, where I have user and everything, all of this, right? I don't know how many layers there is. I'm not going to look, but I know for sure that this is a child component of this bigger component. That's it. That's the only thing I wanted you to keep in mind. That's it. Cool.
Really quick for the routing example that we currently have on the main JSX, those are actually pages though, right? We're not talking about components right now. We're talking about pages. Is that
Great
Or-
question, dude. Great question. Logan's questions, hey, we're talking about pages, but those are components, right? Client site rendering. I'm going to answer your question with another question. Logan, you ready? And this is for everybody. I can tell Logan's paying really close attention to this, right? Because that's a really insightful question and it's confusing as hell. Look at this page. You ready? I'm going to click here. Watch the URL. You ready? We're going to go back. We're going to click again. Watch the URL. Are these two separate pages?
Yes.
They're separate pages, yes.
But you don't have-
Are the separate pages using mostly all the same components?
Yes.
Yes. Client side rendering. So how do I answer your question, Logan? Yes and no.
It's a new page with the old page's information.
That's a perfect answer, Nicholas. Except for one little change, that child component, right? Does that help, Logan?
I knew I was going to get the inception answer.
Yeah, but that tells me you're paying really close attention, dude. That's really good. Oh, something I was talking about. I was fixing my stupid internet the other day at my parents' house, and I was at the AT&T store, and I got into actually a pretty insightful conversation with one of the sales clerks there. And I eventually told him this: the weird thing that AI is doing that I don't hear mentioned very often. Everyone understands that the field is super competitive now, right? Right, because of all the layoffs and the fact that tools allow us to just dude. I used to be like 2 or 3 times more effective with AI, dude. I'm like 10 times more effective with AI today. Like I am getting way better at it, at using it and leveraging it effectively. But here's what's happening that no one really talks about. The problems are getting harder, guys. The problems are just getting, because AI solves all the easy ones. So now the problems are starting to become really complicated because people are pushing changes much, much faster and things are moving way faster than they were before. Things today are moving way faster than they were moving two years ago. So all the easy problems from 2 years ago, those are gone, man. Now we got really complicated problems, right? So for you to be a really good dev, it's just way harder now. Because you don't get the cupcake problems anymore. You get the really complicated ones because AI already solved the easy ones. Make sense? Yes? So that's something no one's talking about, and it's very, very true. And you start getting into a problem is, I'm actually going to pause it right here because I don't want to share this. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Give me 1 second. I wanted to pause, not my share, but the recording. All right, cool. Let's bring this back to your question, Logan. So yes, it's a different web page. Yes, it's routed client side. And yes, that web page is awfully similar to the last web page because he used 90% of the components. As it should, because it's more efficient. Yes? So when we look at Reddit, guys, super important. I'm starting to get excited. When we look at Reddit, right? I show you this little like ho-hum example, right? Of this just little baby component. This stuff's easy, right? We haven't even talked about like authorization, authentication, right? Session cookies, right? Time limits, right? TTLs, things that happen in the background of people exploring and using a web page, right? That secure that specific session, right? That happens in the background whose state, you know how we have this DOM is saved and all the information is saved, gets passed from one page to the other, all that other information has to be passed to or held somewhere. Make sense? That's why when you log into your Netflix account, it stays logged in for a little bit, right? Or I go to my Amazon account, it stays logged in for a little bit, right? But after X amount of time, right, it forces you to log back in. or inevitably you always forget the password, right? You have to reset it.
Did you restart the recording, Guillermo?
Oh, I thought that I did. Let me see. Yeah, I did. I did. Okay, so right now we're just dealing with very simple components on the UI, but just know it goes way deeper than that. The complicated stuff, dude, the UI components, honestly, really easy. I know it may not seem easy right now, but ultimately this is really easy, right? What gets really complicated is managing sessions, right? And connections to the server and the authentication and the tokens and all that stuff that happens on the back end that no one ever sees. That stuff's the complicated stuff. This stuff right here, easy. Make sense? The only thing I want you to know, to understand from that little rant is that, hey, I need to really understand these components really easy because this is the easy part. Once we get to the back end and we start managing tokens, that gets more complicated. Make sense? Yes? Let me give you an example. Are you ever surfing a web page? You're ever surfing a web page and all of a sudden it freezes and it logs you out and then you have to log back in? That ever happen to anyone? Or you log into a site and then your wife or your significant other pulls you out to make dinner or something and you come back and you try to use it and it logs you out and it logged you out. That ever happen? That's
with QuickBooks all the time.
Yeah, that's a token expiration, right? That's a security feature built into the application, right? Your session token probably expired, right? Or there's built-in security features in that application where you went idle for 10 minutes, and as a security feature, it did an automatic log out. Make sense? It did an automatic log out, cleared all of your cookies, reset your token. So you're gonna have to re-auth. All right, cool. That's a little bit of a rant there. We went a little off topic there, Logan, but did we answer your question?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Cool. All right. All right, so here we go. Let's go back here. You may have been expecting that we create 2 additional objects in the list. We have, but they're nested under a children key within the root component. This allows us to treat contact component as a child of root. Before we can have contacts render under root, however, we need to specify an outlet for the child routes to render within root. By using the outlet component inside of the root JSX, we allow this to happen. Let's place it at the end of this script between the div with an ID set to detail. Can anyone tell me what this is saying right here? This piece right here. We created 2 components, right? We created the contact component and then the about component. If I look in here, right, we have our 2 components. This one's nested under root, right? But what is this saying right here? This is a lot of, I don't want to say gibberish, but this is kind of hard to follow. What are they trying to say here?
You can call it from the outlet. Can you do outlet dot and redirect you to wherever you want to call it, root, contact, about? I don't know. I'm just guessing based on your question.
Yeah, not quite. But the thing that you brought up is actually really important. He's talking about route. He's talking about rendering. This little blurb is not about, he's talking about routes, right? But this little verb is not really about routes. It's about rendering. So what's the issue here? We have this nested component. Now we need somewhere for it to render, right? So what is this saying here?
The render outlet there.
Yeah, we need to give it an outlet where it can render these nested components. All right, so let's look. Before we have context render under root, however, we need to specify an outlet for the child routes to render within root. And that's where the outlet component comes in, right? So let's look inside of root JSX. And what this is saying is go inside root JSX, look at the div, right, and render it in there. So let's give it an outlet. So here, inside root JSX is saying, hey, render here. That's the only difference. Okay, so it's saying I can literally just replace this. So inside this div, there's nothing. Hey, put the outlet right there. That's it. That's the only thing I changed. Give it a spot to render these nested components or this nested component.
And are you now getting an error on your page about outlet not being defined?
Let's see.
Gotta import it.
Well, let me restart it. This shouldn't. Let's try. What's the issue? It's highlighted there.
Oh, that's why I'm asking you.
Outlet's not defined, so there's a look. I think whoever said it might have been Logan. It's not importing, right? So we need to. I don't know. Did the README might be messed up? No, it's not messed up. I'm messed up. I forgot to copy paste the top one, right? So I go up here. I hit this import. Now it has access to outlet. Right. I go here. And I deleted something. There we go. Boom, fixed. My import wasn't there. I jumped the gun. I added the outlet component before I actually added the import. I just read this. I just skipped straight to the outlet and I didn't do the import. That's all it was. All right, so cool. This works. Oh, I keep doing Command S on the little browser. Okay, so what did we do here? What can we check now? We've added two components. We added an about and a contact. And we also added, hey, where can we render this? How would we check this?
Could we go to that URL?
Yeah, let's try it. Just gonna close this. All right, so if I go here and I go, yeah, did it work? Did it work?
Yeah, where's your styling come from? You've got like the main.css imported
Oh,
somewhere.
it's the main index CSS. It's the first thing that we copied over. Go to the source folder, the index.css, just copy it and then just paste over the entire index CSS that came with the project.
Is it then imported in app or
It's imported here, but it should be, let's look.
oh yeah, I see it on line 3. Okay.
There we go. Yeah, if your CSS is all messed up, it doesn't look quite right, but all the words are there, your CSS is messed up. Not really that important. You can fix it if you want, but for right now, let's go to that main URL here. Let's look to that main URL. Everyone has seen my webpage, yes? Everyone sees this? Localhost 5173, yes? All right, here's the magic right here of nested routes. I'm gonna click your name, and before we got what? Before we created the contact component, what would happen if I pressed your name? I would hit the what? I'd hit my man-made error page. You suck at programming, yes? Now, when I click on it, well, watch the URL and watch the page. Boom. What's the only thing that changed? Give me the two things that changed.
The URL on the right-hand side.
URL on the right-hand side, URL-based routing, and what component loaded?
The your name contact component.
Yes. Is it the same web page? That's a trick question. What is it, Logan? Is it the same web page?
No.
It's a new web page that has a lot of the old shit, right? And the only thing we loaded differently was the contact component. Yes? All right, let's thinking question. I press this delete button right here. What's going to happen? You're muted, Scott, if you were talking.
Just talking to myself. It's going to reload that component.
If I press delete here, it's going to reload that component?
If it's in that pre-built code that they gave us.
Let's see. What's wrong?
It didn't redirect after deleted.
No. Let's try it again. Everyone pay attention. I want to know what's happening here. I'm going to press the delete. There's some code that's asking me, hey, please confirm. Cool. It's somewhere in there. I don't know. I copied paste a lot of stuff. I don't know. Probably in there. I'm going to press OK. What's broken here?
There's
I mean, there
no
could be-
page called destroy.
It doesn't reroute you back to the main page.
You're right. Logan's right. Logan's right. Nicholas, you're kind of right too. But you said it wrongly. You said it wrongly. I know that's not a word, but I'm going to make it up. All right, let's walk through it from the beginning. We go to homepage. Sweet. It loads. Awesome. We go to your name, the component that we just created. It's a child component of root. Sweet. Renders. Awesome. Press the delete. There's some code in there. I know we had some contacts JS file that we copy pasted, right? With a bunch of CRUD functionality. I press delete. It checks, hey, are you sure you want to delete? I press OK. Yes, I'm sure I want to delete. This route does not exist. Yes? That's the problem. Not found. Doesn't exist. If I click on edit, what's going to happen?
Presumably the same thing.
Yeah, also doesn't exist. Doesn't exist. That's why you suck at programming. Not found. This route right here does not exist. Look at the URL. Right? Not yet, anyway. Cool. Oops. All right, let's go back to root. We're back at root. We're going to jump in here. All right, we got this figured out. We're good. We're good up to outlet. Now we're going to talk a little bit. I think we might be just zip through this. We already talked about it, but let's see if I missed something. Client-side routing versus server-side routing. While we're here, now it's a good time to replace a traditional href element with link to within root.jsx. All right, let's look at root.jsx, yes? Root.jsx. And we notice that within root.jsx, we have what kind of links here?
Hyperlinks.
Yeah, hyperlinks. This is going to do a what? The minute that I click an href in HTML, it's going to do a full what?
Refresh.
Full page refresh. Do we hate full page refreshes? Yes, we do. Why? Expensive. No full page refreshes. We're not going to do that. We are going to use the built-in React router to improve to this. just load the component that changed. That's it. So you see this? The only thing, look at what's the only thing that's changing here. We're not using an href. That's a full page refresh. We're not doing that. We're just changing the contact component. Boom, copy, paste. Messed up the tabbing, that's okay. Tab it over. Boom, save. That's it. And up here, notice we now have from React Router a link component. We only importing outlet. Let's bring in link as well. There you go, link. My page should be up. Sweet, it is. So now I've effectively changed my full page refresh A tags from HTML to my library React Router DOM link component. Make sense? We want to transform our normal website and all the routing within it to React Router. It's going to be more efficient. It's going to be more efficient for the user. It's going to be less latency. It's going to be cheaper for our application to run. Everyone is happy. Yes? Alrighty, let's go to loading data. We can actually mess with our repo, check if we've messed anything up, right? Name, we're good. Delete, that still doesn't work. Cool, it looks like we're in good shape. Sweet, let's go back to our page. We haven't broken anything. We added these sweet links, awesome. Let's move on to loading data, which is the very next step. It says, let's work on implementing some functionality for loading data. This will require a loader, root loader, and this is just syntax of React Router. You need to either know how to find or memorize. Probably just learn how to find. Key value pairs inside your router's root route object in order to use this load. We'll have to import it from the root component inside of main.jsx. So let's look at main.jsx. We're gonna have to import it here. Here we go. We can just add this right here because we already have root imported, right? So we can just copy paste this. So right here on line 6, we're importing root. Let's import loader as root loader. Remember, you don't need root loader. This is just an alias, right? You could have just left it loader and that would have been fine. All right, so now we're importing loader and root loader. And we're gonna get it into copying and paste this here in just 1 second. But why is loading data important here? Like, what are we gonna try to do? Remember, this is like a contacts application. So when they talk about loading data, in this particular application, we're gonna load what kind of data? Just user data, right? Yes. So right now we're just using React for a very simple GUI application, right? Eventually, on a real application, for example, let's use Netflix, for example. I log in with my Netflix credentials, right? What data is loaded? Think Netflix, Guillermo Aguilar logs in. I'm logging into Netflix. What data you think is loading the minute that I'm trying to log in? What's loading on the background? Can anyone tell me?
You mean like what shows you watched? What you're
Yeah,
watching,
a bunch of stuff,
recommended?
right? Yeah, absolutely. Right, a bunch of stuff is loading, right? My profile is loading, yes? Welcome, Guillermo. My preferences, last shows I watched, where I left off on the season 2 of Squid Game, right? All that is being loaded. Now, that's endgame, right? I just gave you an example of a big SaaS application, right? Whatever. Right here, we're just going to load contact information. But in the grand scheme of things, remember, when you log into these applications, a lot of information is being loaded, right? Not just your username, right? And other more complicated things are being loaded, right? Like, remember how Netflix implemented that you can't share the credentials anymore, right? It's just cross-checking if anyone else is logged in, right? Yes? And now it doesn't let you do that. Now, if you're not in the same household or however they do it now, I don't know. I don't have Netflix. It'll either like not let you log in or terminate the other one or something, right? I don't know how Netflix. Anybody know how does Netflix do it? Does it terminate the other session or it doesn't let you log in or?
You got to pay for each additional account.
But let's say you don't want to pay and you try to do it with 2 users. What happens?
Oh, it tracks your IP and then sees if you're logged in from another IP, and probably the person who logged in second gets a warning saying somebody else is using your account.
And you can't use your account then because someone else is already using it.
Right.
Okay.
Correct.
Perfect. All right. So that's what happens. So it blocks you from having a second sign on. Make sense? Yes? Here's another thing that is used that I think is super cool. Has anyone ever hacked your credit card or anything like that? A really easy way that banks can track it, and I'm sure you already figured this out, but I still think it's really cool. A lot of this stuff is automated. For example, I ran my credit card at the local Starbucks and bought a matcha on Tuesday at 2 p.m. Right? If at 2:53 p.m. someone scans those same those same credit card information in Singapore, they know to block the transaction automatically, right? They know that. How do they know that? That's automatic. That's not a person doing it. It's an automatic block. Why?
Because unless you have a personal jet, it's impossible.
Not a teleportation machine, right? You're not going to get to Singapore from Austin, Texas in 52 minutes. Okay? That is impossible, right? So all that is automated, right? So that's, guys, the really cool stuff about that is someone wrote all of that code, right? So think of all that logic, right? And it goes deeper than that, right? It goes that, hey, they can track your last 5 purchases, right, on your cards. Like, did you was the Starbucks at an airport? That'd be an easy one, right? It means you're traveling, right? If you're driving, like, hey, is there credit card transactions on gas stations on the way from Texas to Chicago? Yeah, keep authorizing them because clearly he's driving, right? Easy. But all that stuff, remember, someone wrote all that code. It's automated now, right? There isn't actually anyone checking. Those are no-brainer things that some people already, that a lot of organizations, especially banks, have already written. Make sense? Even the automated emails that you get, all that's automated, right? You get an email saying, hey, someone tried to use your credit card. If this is not you, just ignore. All that automated code that someone already wrote. All right. Another side tangent on loading data, but I think it's pretty cool. Hope you think it's cool too. All right, so loading data. So now we have to create a loader, it looks like. So we're going to go to main JSX. We imported loader as root loader. Okay, now it's saying go in here, and it looks like we're just going to insert. This is the only difference in the line, right? It says, hey, we're going to have a loader to load this data. So after your arrow page, we're going to create this. This little attribute here, and it says, hey, loader, root loader. Okay, that's the only thing that's different. Cool. Now that we've set up the loader inside of main, we can access the loader's data inside of root.jsx. All right, so now that we have the loader, who's aware that the loader exists now? The what of the application?
Brain.
Router.
Yep, the brain, the router. Yeah, it knows that this exists, so we have access to it. All right, cool. So now you can kick over to root JSX, right? And by importing the use loader data method from React root JSX, we can import, what is it? This right here. I'm going to do it just piecemeal so it doesn't lose anyone. Outlet link. It wants us to import this, use loader data. Let me just paste it, right? Yep. Use loader data, sweet, right, from React Rotterdam. And it's also asking me, hey, import these contacts from contacts. Okay, we're going to look at that here very closely. So the use loader data, the brain already knows it exists. So now I can import it into my root JSX file. And then it's also asking me, and I think the README might touch on this here in a second, but it's also asking me to import this. Does anyone remember what's in here? What's inside this file? The context.js file. Anybody remember? We talked about it briefly.
Is that all the CRUD stuff?
Yeah, all the CRUD stuff. So it's saying, hey, we're about to do some CRUD stuff, right? Because we want to import contacts. And if you're curious, go into contacts, right? There you go. Get contacts, that's read. Create, get, read, update, delete. Awesome. So I know that I am about to punch in all of these functions. I'm about to be able to have access to all of these functions. And it looks like because functions are objects, I'm going to be able to push or send these functions as objects into my components. That's exactly what's about to happen, right? We can send simple attributes like the color green as a prop, but we can also send a function as a prop, right? Because they're all, a string is an object and a function is also an object. Yes? OOP, object-oriented programming, everything is an object. Sweet. So now I can call in this function, use loaded data, and now I'm going to have access to all of my CRUD functionality. Awesome. So we go in here into the root.jsx, right? And it's telling me, hey, since we want to load contact data, let's create a variable to assign the data we retrieve inside our root function. Okay, so let's bring in that function inside of root right here, just right here. When this loads, super important, when the root component, give me 1 second. This is broken. This is broken right now. Is it broken? Yeah, it's fine, whatever. We'll figure it out in a second. When this root component loads, and the root component is my entire web page, right? What is it going to load as well? It's going to load the functionality to be able to load data, right? All the contacts, right? This is a function. It's calling it, and now you destructured it. So now when I pass in contacts, I'm actually passing in which function? Use loader data. All right, so be very mindful of how contacts are going to come in because that's a function, okay? All right. So we want to be able to support having multiple contacts, but a user will also have 0 contacts to start. Contacts may also be missing information if the user doesn't provide it. Given that we have multiple sets of conditions to consider, we're going to want to return some nested ternaries inside the nav wrappers of the root component's return statement, right? So let's look at root.jsx and let's find the nav component. Should be in here. Is there a nav component in here?
Yeah, it's where the link is.
Found it. This. That's it, right? Okay. This was a lot. Can anyone make sense of this? What is this saying? Just this right here. It's kind of confusing. What is it trying to tell you?
We're inserting the logic using the map function.
Yeah. It's saying, hey, man, when someone first logs in, they're not going to have any contacts, right? So we need to handle that logic. They can also have multiple contacts. Oh, crap. We need to handle that logic too. What if they create a contact that has some missing information? Crap, we got to handle that logic too. So that's what this is. All right. So inside of the nav bar, the only thing you have to do is just replace the nav bar. This is just replace the entire nav bar with this nav bar. This nav bar is exactly like this nav bar, except we handle all the use cases of having multiple contacts, no contacts.
This seems like the data validation in Django. What's the crossover here? This feels like what we would be doing in Django, where we're relating databases and validating the data before it comes in.
Logan, you're quickly becoming my favorite student, buddy. Great fucking question. Django validates data client or server side?
Server side.
Expensive. Let's validate. We can validate server side too. But guess what? If you catch all the errors client side, cheaper, yes? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead, Scott.
I was going to ask, is that why we would use React routing rather than like the Django framework routing?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
It's doing what React Router was built for. Leverage the best possible tool to accomplish your task. Right? Do it in the most efficient way possible. Yes, for the user, but secretly to increase shareholder value for our company, right? Ultimately, fuck the user. No, I'm just kidding. Right. User's important. User's got the credit card, right? So there you go. Does everyone understand that? Yes?
Yeah, I have one more question, Guillermo. I don't know if this is the right spot for it. We might
Go
cover it
ahead.
later, but I'm getting an error about and it's not stopping anything, it's more like a warning, but no hydrate fallback element provided to render during initial hydration. Is that like a React thing? Like,
I think it is a React thing. I've seen it before and I don't remember exactly what it was, but it's a React thing, yeah. I would
drink
ignore
water,
it for
die.
right now. Yeah, I just ignore it for right now.
Okay.
I don't even want to speculate what the error is, but it could be like we're mixing some old syntax with some new syntax, so the README has old syntax. It could be a WebSocket. It could be a host of different things. But if it's not breaking anything, don't touch it for right now.
Is that a ternary operation in the code?
Yes,
Oh, nice.
just a really long ternary, right? This is the end result right here.
There are like 3 different options.
Yep. Let's see if I can do this. Netflix.com. I don't even, let me see. Let me see if I can do this. This is my burner email anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Give me 1 second. I'll see if I can do this quickly. If it feels like I can't do it quickly, I won't. Oh, no, I got it. Choose your own. Okay, this is exactly what I want to show you. All right, let's say I wanted to create an account right here, right? And remember when it asked you, hey, you need like 3 capital letters, 12 characters minimum, special characters, numbers, and letters. Remember all that? That regex? That validation is client side or server side? Client side. Why? It's just easier to handle in an account. It's just a quick regex check client side. Why send that password to the server and waste resources if it's wrong? Check it on the client side. Make sense? That's how it works. All right, cool. All right, so we're here. We added, did I do this or did I just pretend to? Oh yeah, no, I never added this, right? The nav, replace the nav. I never replaced it, right? It doesn't look like it. Okay, cool. We're gonna replace it. Make this a little shorter. I'm gonna tab it over. Tab. All right, cool. Save. Let's see if this is up. This is not up. Something's still broken. That's fine. We'll continue. So we replaced the nav with really just what was there before with some ternary saying, hey, handle these use cases where there's missing information, there's no contacts, or there's multiple contacts. That's all this is. All right, so the outer ternary will check to see if the contacts object has returned a length. If it doesn't, it will simply display no contacts because there are no contacts. If it does, we'll want to iterate through the list of contacts, returning a list of elements containing information about the contact. After it iterates over the contact, so it knows how long the list is going to be and how many elements have to be displayed to the user. I hope that makes sense. An inner ternary will either return the contact's name or no name if that information wasn't provided for the existing entry. So all that is really baked into that ternary that was created right there in the nav bar. Let's go back to our application. This is, I think, a good stopping point here. We can go to client-side data creation here in just 1 second, but right now there's an issue. Our application is down. How do we start debugging this? It's down, right? Many of you probably, is everyone at the spot?
Dev console.
All right, let's start trying to see if we can debug this a little bit before I cut you loose. Am I running again? I always am. Okay. What's the error?
It's just the capitalization again.
Okay, let's look at, it tells me right here, main JSX line 6, main JSX line 6. How do I fix this? Does not provide an export name loader. So it's telling me that root does not export loader. Okay, so if I go to root, is it exporting loader? What's the issue?
Did you export the function at the top, like right underneath your general imports?
Give me the command.
No, it's export default function root and constant context use loader data or get context. Do you have both of those? No, you don't. I think you're missing the get context.
Inside of contacts?
Yeah, right underneath your imports. I got this. I just dropped it in the chat.
So I'm missing a loader function.
Yes.
Okay. Let's
It's
look.
in the README.
Oh, is
It's
it?
just not, yeah, it's just not very evident.
Did I miss it? Where is it? Did I miss it somewhere? Let me see. I missed it right here. This is what you meant, right? All right, so
Yes.
under get context, I missed this loader. So this export, it was complaining that, hey, I don't have this export in root.jsx. All right, let's see if that fixed it. We are up. Thank you, Scott. Boom, boom, boom. Awesome. Why did these names change to no name right here in my nav bar, in my vertical nav bar here, or my drop-down menu? Why did these change to no name? They used to have something in it. That was not no name. It's a product of what?
Your ternary.
Yeah, no ternary. Where's my ternary? It's no name. You sucks? Sure. Now you sucks. It's a product. This tells me, as I'm developing my application, hey, you have no context, right? Could I create a contact right here?
You're supposed to, right?
Can my application create a new contact? Not a trick question. It can't yet because I don't have a what?
Page
So-
for it.
Yeah, I don't have any functionality, any routes for it. I can't edit, I can't delete. I'm not there yet. I'm still in the loading part, right? I haven't created those routes, that functionality. I mean, I have the code, right? It's contacts. This will give me all the CRUD functionality, and I imported it into root, right? I mean, into main JSX. But I don't have any of those routes. So that's really the next step, right? So let's go back. So I cut that. This is where I left off here. We talked about ternaries. Now I am going to get the ability to create data now, right? We can create these users, right? So client side creation, similar to how we replaced the href element, React Router linked to component, will be using router's form component in place instead of the traditional form element. All right, here's a question for you. The href element was bad. Well, it wasn't bad. No, I'm going to call it bad. Screw it. Was bad because once you click an href, it does what on the page?
Full reload.
Full reload. An HTML element called form would have to be submitted where to be validated. I don't expect you to know this, but if you can guess it from kind of the way that I'm leading you, that's what I'm looking for. An HTML form element would have to be submitted where for it to be validated?
To the back end.
To the back end, and we don't want that. So we are going to replace all form elements in HTML with form elements from React Router, because that is going to validate the form client side or server side?
Client side.
Client side, cheaper, the whole point of React Router. Make sense? Sweet. All right, client side creation. All right, I've been talking for a long time. I am going to pause right here, actually. I'm going to pause right here and cut you loose for a little bit. I'm going to stop sharing. And I'm just going to talk to you briefly here. We're going to take a break. I know we've been going for another hour in this track. All right, this is what's going to happen. The next two components and route you are going to create are create and edit. those two CRUD functionalities. It's 10:35 now. We're going to come back at 11. We're going to come back at 11. Individually, I'm going to open the groups. I said that really awkwardly, sorry. We're going to come back at 11 a.m. I'm going to open the groups. You're going to work individually starting at 11 a.m. And you are going to work on two things, those two things. You're going to create a user, or like a contact, or what do they call it? And you're going to be able to edit the contact that you created using the GUI. It's the very next two things on the README. You should be able to do it. Go ahead.
Create an update.
Yep. Create an update. That's it. Individually at 11, and then I'll check up on you guys, see how we're doing. Does everyone understand that? I'm going to pause the recording here. All right, everyone, I lied. We are not going to do individual work just yet. We're going to do a quick example that I think is cool. And if you don't think it's cool, whatever, I'm the instructor. But I do hope you think it's cool. Let's talk client and server-side validation. Yes? Yes. Let's do it. It's recording, right? I'm recording? Yeah. All right, cool. All right, let's do credit card. Let's do credit card. Everyone here has bought something using a credit card on the internet, yes? Excellent. When the credit card prompt shows up, what do you have to write into it? Imagine Apple Pay, PayPal, none of those are an option. You get a credit card prompt, what goes into it?
A credit card number,
Credit card number,
the expiration date,
expiration date,
CSV code,
CSV code.
and the name.
Yeah, name. Let's put name at the top.
Sometimes the zip code.
Yeah, zip code. Sometimes, yeah. This is it, right? Yes? Sweet. When you get a credit card prompt on the internet, again, we're assuming no Apple Pay or none of that stuff, nothing fancy here. You have to punch in these numbers, these values. Yes? Okay, cool. Where is this validated? Server or client side? Name.
Validated for what? Just that it's a real credit card number, or that it's
No. We're doing this piecemeal. Where is name? When the credit card prompt comes up, where is your name validated?
client side?
What's validated client side?
That it's a valid name, so there's no special characters or
Okay, there we go. Good. Where is name validated? Valid name, no special characters. Validated client side. Whether the name is right on the credit card is evaluated where?
server side somewhere.
Server side somewhere. We'll get to that. We'll jump back to that. Credit card number. What's validated server side? Client side.
That it's
If it is a credit card number.
Say that again, Nicholas.
If it is a credit card number.
If it's a, let me see how I want to say that. If it's a credit card number, we're not going to do any special situations, but if it's 15 or 16 digits, right? Yeah.
Would it be client side also like the different types of credit cards? Like you have
Yes.
Visa, you
I'm going to
type
get
in
into
10.
that.
Okay.
Yep. I'm going to get into that. All right. So credit card number, what's validated client side if the credit card is 15, 16 digits? I know it can vary 13 and 19 or whatever the case may be. We're not going to do any special, just this is a learning exercise. All right. We're going to assume it's Express or one of the big ones. So it's 15, 16 characters. So it's validated in these 15, 16 characters. And then I don't know if you ever notice, right? But typically on some of the prompts, you punch in a 5 to start, it knows it's a MasterCard. Right? Visa's 4. Check your credit card right now. Right? Express is 3.
It's 9, I think. Right?
Say that again.
I think mine's a 9.
What is it?
American Express.
It starts with a 3 or a 9 then. I don't know American Express. I'm going off the top of the dome here. All right. But if you actually notice some of the prompts, when you punch in the first digit, it'll have the credit card, but then it'll highlight MasterCard or I'll highlight Visa. Well, how does it know that? The first number. I think MasterCard might be 2 and 5 as well, actually. Okay. So the first number will give it away as to what network it's on, right? And then the next, like 5 or 6 digits, tell it the bank or credit union that issued it, and the rest are random. So what's being validated to the credit card number client side? The first couple of digits, whether they're valid, whether it's a network that they understand, whether it's a real bank or credit union, right? And then the rest is random, right? So it can validate the first couple of numbers client side, but the full number can only be validated by who?
The credit card company or whoever you're submitting all the payment information to.
Credit card provider, credit card company. Is the only one that can fully validate if it's valid and usable. I say usable because it could be baxed out or closed or whatever the case may be, right? It could be, right? Cool. So notice there's both things can be true. And for really great applications, both things are always true, right? So let's look at expiration date. Truly validated server side with company. But what can be validated client side?
That it's a valid year and month, like it's not expired already.
There you go. It's a valid year, month, year, and it's not expired. Obviously, if the date is before the date where you're punching in, it clearly expired, right? It's not going to take that. Cool. CSV code. Only company can truly validate, but client side, what can the client side validate?
3 or 4 digits.
It's 3 or 4. I've never seen 4 digits. Does 4 digits exist? I thought it was always 3. Yeah. Okay. I don't have an Amex. Okay, it's 3, 4 digits. There you go. Dude, Amex always has to be different. It's also 15 and not 16. Whatever. All right, CSV code, right? There you go. And zip code, right? Again, only company can validate zip corresponds to right user, but client side, it can validate that it's a valid zip code in, let's just use the United States, for example, in the US, right? Because there are no new zip codes. All the zip codes in America, we know what they are. Yes? It's a quick regex checks against all valid zip codes in the US. Yes? Client side. Doesn't have to be done server side. So this is, to me, the quintessential example of client and server side validation. because you see all of it in just this little example and how it works together. Make sense? Rule of thumb, you're trying to validate all user data client side as much as you possibly can, right? Because you don't want to send back bad data to the back end. So this credit card payment would check all of this, and it goes something like user to website, right? To payment processing company to website to user. That's the flow. User goes to Etsy, finds a really awesome stuffed animal, shows the payment form, fills it out, puts credit card information, hits it. That gets relayed to the payment company. Payment company says, yes, sir. That person has money. Approved transaction. Money is good with us. Assures the funds. Returns a response to the company saying, hey, that person's not a complete deadbeat. They can buy that stuffed animal. Send it to them. Company says, awesome. Money's secure. Presents confirmation number to the user saying, hey, your teddy bear is on the way. Make sense? All righty. I'm going to stop my share right there. I thought that was a useful exercise. I was washing my coffee mug and thought, hey, that's a perfect example. Questions? Client side or server side validation? And how they work in tandem for pretty much every application, really. Sweet. All right, I'm going to pause the recording right here. Going to resume here. Just a brief little touch point before breaking for lunch. Conceptually, super important thing to remember. Let's look at trying to see how to best do this. Let's look at the application here. I don't even have it loaded, so I'm gonna have to load it here. Give me 1 second. Probably should have loaded it before. No matter, guys. Bear with me, about to share it. All right, can everyone see my screen? Yes?
Yep.
Okay. The task that you were given is, hey, create the create route and then create the edit route. Yeah? Those are the tasks you were given. The create route is actually really easy because a create route is a child of root. How do I know that? By just looking at the screen.
It's nested in the component.
Yeah, it's right here. It's right at root, right? But the issue is when I start going into here and to trying to edit this specific component, it gets a little bit more nuanced. Why? It's nested, right? Yes? Let's try that again. If I go to root, I get this. And it loads the root component. And any of the components that are there, right? But new is easy. It's a child, we can just create it. Well, once I start going into things that are already created, now I'm going in another layer, right? Now, when I go to edit this, I'm not editing the root component, right? I'm editing which component? The contact component, right? Yes? Okay. So conceptually, you must understand this. And what I had Logan post in the India Evening and Weekend channel, right, is a comparison of your contact JSX and your root JSX. Look at the top of both of those files. It has to load its own respective data. Where root loads the data for the entire application, contact JSX just has to load what data? Just this contact, right? This contact right here, this contact doesn't have to load the data for all contacts, right? Because you're not going to edit all contacts simultaneously or delete all of them typically. So you just need to pull this data. So compare both of those files. Notice how similar they are. But when loading the data, right? When you load at root, you load it for the entire application. When you load at contact, you only need to load that contact information. Make sense? Yes? Does everyone understand that? I don't think that's explicitly stated in the README. But if you got to the edit portion, you probably ran into that problem. Right? Let's look at the code there. Here. Source. Where's my main JSX? My routes root. Right? Here you have, you're loading the contacts. Right? But when you go to contacts, you're going to realize, hey, you're going to have to load that data as well. This right here might throw you off, but this is just a hard code, right? Saying, hey, can you load this dummy data for right now? Right? But eventually, you're going to just use the data that you created, right? Not a hard code, which is what this is, right? Here, you would have to load the contacts like this. Make sense? If that's a little confusing, that's super normal. You probably haven't seen this before, but check out Logan's screenshot. Make sure that your contact is loading all the appropriate data. Yes? Here's a question that I'll leave you with. Sorry, I put sunscreen on my face, so my face is all white. I was about to go outside, that's why. If contact had a nested component in it, right, with a drop-down menu, right? Let's call it, what would be something within a contact? Let's call it email. Let's say your contact had an email component in there, right, that you could change, right? An email with its own separate component. When I went into email, email would have to load what? This is a thinking exercise. This is not in the README. Would have to load what? Inside of my contact, I had an email component. I click on the email component, and the email component, let's say you set it already and it's set to your email. But that component should be able to load what you set it to and what else? What other optionality could there be?
Probably edit and delete.
Yeah, right? Or change to none or change it, right? Typically, user information would have that, but could you nest it in that manner? And could you make the email component responsible for always having an email being required, right? Or changing it to something else? The answer is yes. Or how about this? The email component could load a dropdown, right? Let's say it's a company account and you can only use your designated company email or a designated team email. Then it just has a dropdown of your default user email and the teams you belong to. You can't actually pick you can't actually write any email. You are limited to this dropdown of 4 emails. Make sense? That's kind of a weird example, but I just wanted to show you that the nesting could go almost in infinite number of times, right? Yes? You can just keep going. Just remember the components. If they're nested, they need to be able to access, right, any information, right? It needs to be able to load any information that it needs, right? So keep that in mind. Any questions about that? Alrighty. It's 12. Let me pause the recording. All right, guys. Just a quick recap. I'm bringing everybody back after probably about an hour of individual work. I'm going to start this section with just a little story that I got from work. Then we're going to discuss the assignment up to this point, most notably create, edit, and delete to a certain extent. And then we're going to finally go on break. I know that was a pretty long session. We go to a break, then we're going to come back for groups for the towards the end of class. Does that make sense? That's the plan. Yes? Okay. So here's a little story. I don't even know what we started talking about. Oh yeah, we're talking about battle scars and little anecdotes that I included in all my teaching that hopefully will be insightful. Here's an issue we had the other day at work. We've discussed Docker images, yes? Docker images, and we build off of Docker images. On AWS, right, there is a registry for container images where you can pull. You know how we pull our registries from the Python repository? Well,
Is
you
that
can.
ECR?
Yeah, ECR. So in AWS, we have ECR, okay? But here's what AI and no one could figure out. They were stuck on a problem for like 8 hours. I came in off a flight and saved a day. They were getting a 403 unauthorized error, right? When they were trying to pull an image from the internal repository of images for AWS called ECR, right? And they're like, we don't know what's happening. We don't know why we keep getting this 403. AI's not helping. Nothing's helping. I came in, looked at it, and I said, it isn't a problem with ECR. You're authenticated. You only authenticate via ECR. And you wouldn't know the following unless you knew AWS pretty freaking well. ECR, people think that it's a storage for images. And you would think that's what it is, but it's actually not. If you understand that service really well, you know that you only authenticate to ECR. And those images are actually hidden in S3 buckets. What was their 403? It wasn't ECR. It was authenticated via ECR, and they did not have permission to the hidden S3 bucket where the ECR images are actually being held. So I fixed it at the root of their project, and everything worked.
Wait. Can you say the last part again? Because I'm actually working with S3, so it's kind of interesting.
So people think that those images are held in ECR, right? This service is a repository of images that's internal AWS, and that's actually not true. If you actually understand AWS intimately, this is just one example where if you really understood AWS, you know that ECR is actually not a repository. It just authenticates that you have access to that image. And this is like behind the curtain of AWS. There's actually an S3 bucket you can't access, hidden, right? That ECR pings to say, hey, this person's authenticated, release the image to that container. Now that's when people talk about tribal, like esoteric knowledge of tech stacks, that's the kind of thing they're talking about. That's never going to come up unless you intimately know how that system works under the hood. So that was a 403 error they were having, right? And they're like, well, ECR exists. It's good. It's authenticated. I don't know what's going on. They didn't know that ECR is backed by S3. Make sense? And if you don't understand that example, no worries.
So once the ECR is authenticated, you could actually pull the S3, whatever you keep in all the
Yeah,
images.
but the S3 bucket, you can't see it.
Okay. Is there any?
You just
thing
have
that
to
it's-
know it's there.
Ooh. Okay. All right. That's great.
Yeah. So that's just a very simple example, but all services have things like that, right? And that's pretty much literally like the final frontier for AI to understand all of that.
Still free, right?
Huh?
This is still free, the S3 thing.
It's certain storages.
Okay.
All right. So that's a little example. Let's get back to this assignment here. Logan, were you able to fix edit by chance?
I think so. Yeah.
Show us, walk us through all of them, honestly. Share your screen, walk us through everything, and then I'll fill in, or we will fill in the missing pieces.
Yeah. So this is where I left off. Let me just lower that. You can see I've got 3 users and then, well, I guess I've got 6 users, but some of them don't have data. You can edit it and add something, whatever. Save, and it'll show up over here. You can delete it. And there's actually, I was working with it and it was, when I first got it to work, it wouldn't show their data here. But that was because there's placeholder data in the contact.jsx. It wasn't actually accepting the contact data at all to display it. So I think that's, you can see the full stack working here. Want me to share the code now?
Yes, please.
So here's where the placeholder stuff is that it came with. And I didn't realize it at first, and then I saw that this is exactly what was being displayed on that page. So it was just placeholder text. And you can see here I just actually chose to display the contact information. I wrote down a list of things that I kind of ran into that probably all of us will. One of the things was on form in contact.jsx. I didn't realize that the action was called destroy instead of delete. That's just like a naming convention thing. And that really held me up. Like I just fundamentally didn't understand that. And it kept trying to tell me destroy. And I was like, no, delete. And then I saw this and I was like, oh, okay. And
Who's
then,
enforcing that? So super important thing here. This is a question not just for Logan. Logan, if you can get it, but anyone else. Who's enforcing that word choice, destroy over delete?
well, me, technically, I named it.
No,
It's just
go to your code.
Yeah.
Can you change that to anything?
I think I can. I
Try
thought
it.
it was just a naming convention. Well, I would have
Try
to
it.
change it. I'd have to change it everywhere though.
Search right here, destroy. How many times does it appear? Can't be that many times. But
It's not going to appear here, but I think I'll have to, let's see, destroy action. No, maybe, I don't know. It wasn't working when yeah, I'll just try it. Oh yeah, so the reason it wasn't working is because of the route, I guess. I get this error. no route matches URL, and it still tries to go to delete. Make sure that works. If I go here.
Okay, so you're in charge of it then, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, good. You can name it whatever you want. That's good. You change back to destroy.
Yeah.
It just has to be the same across the entire app, right?
Yeah,
All right,
that was
keep
kind of
going.
what I guess what I was getting at there is this code was supplied to us and it said destroy there. And I was using a delete naming convention for everything that I was writing, right? And I didn't get that. I ran into a lot of problems where I was like conflicting with the given code.
Mhm.
Another thing was like about wrapping the profs, like the destructuring, I guess.
Mhm.
I kept forgetting that and getting this one error. And I did it multiple times. Too many default functions. So I don't know if it's in one of these files, kept it. Basically, you can only have one default function. Oh yeah, you can see right here. There was a root function that was default prior, but you can only have one default function. The other ones have to be async. I didn't know that. I guess it makes sense.
Because one per component, right?
One per component. Yeah, that was pretty
Mhm.
much what the error said. Not using specialized loaders for every single one of these things, like contact loader, edit loader, etc. And then just import management in general. I kept having errors where something was wrong with my imports that I was usually in this case, it was actually just contact JSX and contacts JS. I kept getting those mixed up, and contacts.js is where the actual logic is. That was one of the hardest things for the delete thing, was understanding like what I was actually tapping into was the delete function in this file. I was completely missing that, and I kept looking for the function. So anyways.
Can you go back to your main, please? Beautiful.
Logan, out of all four CRUD operations, this is not just for, I'm going to ask Logan, but I want everyone to think about this question. Out of all four CRUD operations, which is the hardest and why?
For me, it was the edit.
It's not just you. That is the right answer. Tell me why.
Mostly it was just because I was having so many problems with the props, like understanding to access with dot notation the actual contact and not the contacts array as a whole. I think I was really fighting with that, where I kept using contacts, and not actually identifying one contact in general. But once I realized that, it kind of fell into place.
You didn't know what was being passed to that function, right?
Yeah, I think I was grabbing all of them rather
Yep.
than one individual one and accessing its properties.
And a bulk edit or a bulk delete is very different than an individual edit or an individual delete, correct?
Yeah, so that's
Okay.
again, I was grabbing the contact ID when the button was pressed, it passed that as a prop.
Perfect. That was perfect, Logan. Thank you.
Oh.
I don't really have any more to add. That summary and little walkthrough was near perfect for where you guys should be at right now. Edit is by far the hardest. Why is it?
Well, there's multiple things happening.
Yeah, there's just a lot going on, right? Let's think of a create operation. You create something brand new where nothing existed. Easy. Let's think of the delete operations, right? You delete something with a specific ID and it just deletes that one thing. Easy. Easy, easy, easy. You read a specific thing, either all of them or just one thing. Easy. Read all, or whatever the syntax is, or read this specific idea. Easy, easy, easy. Three of those four, cake. Let's look at edit. Read this specific item. Okay. Grab the ID. Okay. Now, the minute that you hit the edit, you are retrieving. Right now, you're not doing it because it's just the GUI, but eventually you're going to retrieve something from the database. Yes? You're going to retrieve it, read it, retrieve it, right? Edit that specific form and repost it, right? And you have to repost it in the exact structure that it was returned to you in, that was sent to you in. If not, it's going to error out. Does that make sense? What was returned to you now has been edited, and you have to repost it back in the same spot with different information, but in the same format. And if you screw up that format, it's going to create problems for your applications. Does that make sense? Right? When you go edit, and you can't just add another property or anything, right? Or you can't add some values that are not accepted, right? Example, you pull a user whose ID is 123. You try to edit that ID to 1234, but there's a strict limit on the number of integers your ID can have. And you try to post that back to the database and the backend validators will reject it. Or if you have a good application, it would notice that extra digit in the user ID on the front end and would not let you submit that form. Does that make sense? Edit's by far the hardest one. All the other three are easy. Edit's the only hard one. And that applies to all credit, all credit applications, really. Sweet. Okay. Anybody else finish by chance besides Logan? Because you're pretty much done, right, Logan?
Yeah, I was just reviewing a few things to
Okay.
kind of make sure I understood it.
Anyone else close by chance? And that's okay if you're not.
I got to the I can edit, like I can add and edit, but I haven't gotten to delete yet.
Okay. The delete's pretty easy, so you should be able to get that. Okay. All right. This is what's going to happen right now. It's 2:37. Let's take a break until 3. We're going to break until 3 p.m. At 3 p.m., I'll have your groups posted. And if you haven't finished one, please get with your group and finish one, at least one of you, right? And then move on to the second part of this assignment with the tutorial. And I'll go ahead and post the directions in the Slack channel. Does that make sense? Session. I just want to make sure that I'm base here quickly here. All right. This is the README, yes? Once you finish part 1, don't worry about this like branch link being broken. You don't need it. All right. So after you finish part 1, you get to touch-ups and user experience, right? While technically you're finished with the functionality for updating users, the user experience is still lacking a lot of polish, right? Users can update data, but contexts are still empty when first created. What does that mean? Let's look at it. This is the working demo here. And this is what it's doing. I'm going to press the new button. Watch what happens. Why is this not working? Oh, here we go. It just lagged. What happened here when I press this new button?
It was loading.
Yeah, but watch right here.
It just created a blank
a new one.
file.
Yeah, I just created a blank new one. That's really bad user experience, right? Like it's just creating these like blank, look, no name, no name, no name. Yeah, sure, I can go in here and delete them. But what should happen when I create, for example, if you were using this website, you press new, what do you expect to happen? You don't expect this to happen. What do you expect to happen?
You would expect to enter your data
Yeah, you would
or
expect some kind
some
of
data.
Yeah, you would expect a modal to pop up or the website component to re-render and show a form for you to add user input to whatever the new thing is, right? That's what you would expect. This doesn't do that. This creates it, and then you have to go edit, and then you can go, whatever. For it to edit, right? Really bad user experience. You can try fixing that, right? You can delete here. It says, hey, do you want to delete? And then you can delete it.
you can delete. All right, so that's just one example. Let's go back to the README. That was 1. 2 is user interaction isn't very responsive, with selection missing highlights and old page data not clearing while new page data is loading. This has to do with kind of how you handle the data and the order. This actually happens quite a bit. You don't have it here explicitly, but these things will be known as a race condition, where you need certain things to finish before other things start. Because if not, it destroys your data flow and it typically breaks your application. And some of these race conditions will like fail silently, so you can't tell exactly what's happening, right? You just know that something isn't working quite right, right? So look into that. No method for deleting data. I don't even know what this means. Does anyone know what 3 means? No method for deleting data? I thought there was a method for deleting data.
Yeah, it actually occurs later in the tutorial, so they expect you haven't gotten to that point yet.
Oh, okay, cool. But yeah, this you can delete the things eventually. All right, blank empty spaces like the one that loads to the right of the list when loading the app can be made more user-friendly by providing index routes. Index routes can be thought of as default route for landing pages. It says blank empty spaces like the one that loads at the right of the list when loading the app. Are they referencing this white space right here all the way to the right?
It's the big white space to the right. It says nothing when there's nothing selected at the root.
I don't
Just
know what
like the 70% of your screen that's white right now.
Oh, this right here?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me read that again. I don't know if I'm stupid or what. Blank one that loads to the right when the list. Oh yeah. Yeah, this is weird, right? Like this is really bad user experience, right? You can have some kind of landing page or something or a component that loads on render, right? I would do something like that. And then that component updates whenever you're doing whatever up here, right? Editing or creating something new, right? Welcome to my, I don't know, user content edition webpage or whatever. That's a stupid name, but you know what I mean. All right, users should have a cancel button in case they change their minds. Let's look at it. Let's say if I go in here and I hit edit, see if you can add this cancel button. All right, you're going in here, you're adding some stuff, cool, whatever. And you change your mind, cancel it. I don't think you have that functionality. I just added that. I don't think it's in the README actually. Here's a hint. You can write this down. Use the navigation component. It's built into React Router and it's really useful. Navigation component for that one. So that's 5. 6, implementing search functionality is commonly expected. There's a million different ways to do search, but a really common one is known as fuzzy search, right? It's just a keyword search, right? Let's say all these no names were populated with names. I can type a G and it's going to search for all names with a G in it. Make sense? And then I go GU and it's going to pull up any names or any words that have the word GU in the name, anywhere, first name or last name, or however you structure it, right? And then you can just click on it. That's really helpful user feature, right? Or instead of searching up here, this list can be a component. And when you type in GUI, it filters the names just by GUI, and then you can click on them. That's much better UI than what we have here, right? Right here, it's fine because you have like 12 names, whatever. What if you have 10 million? You're not going to paginate through 10 million names, right? Yes? Does that make sense, people? The search functionality is something that's actually used pretty widely. Give it a crack. It's actually really fun, interesting work. Again, a bunch of different ways to do it. Keyword here would be enough. Don't do anything more fancy than that. This is additional UI responsiveness, like spinning load icons. Let's give an example of that. Like here, you could say, whatever. And when I click save, what would be a really nice UI feature? For it to say what?
Or like a toast message.
Yeah, right. When I hit save here, right, it just updates. It'd be nice if this cleared out, right, and it just gave me like a green little like banner. It says, "Hey, saved or updated contact," right? Or hey, you updated Guillermo's contact, or hey, congratulations, you updated, Logan's contact in a green border or something. It says, hey, your request was successful. Nice chat. That's good UI, right? I don't want to be looking for whether my command or my request was successful, right? Hey, be very obvious about it. Cool. Something like that. Additional error handling would be nice. At the moment, only the root and the create contact routes have error pages set up. You could create custom error pages, right? For example, if you edit this and it failed, you could throw an error page, hey, your edit failed or whatever, or you failed to update a user or a contact or whatever the case may be. So you can work on really any of these, whichever of these kind of tickle your fancy, give it a crack. Now, if you're pretty good, you can do all of them. Make sense? Here's another one that's not on the list, but I'll give it to you for why the hell not. Figure out how to do a select all, right? Make sense? You can do a select all delete right here, right? Yes? I could even, this might be a little too high speed, right? But I'll pitch you this one. This is a little more complicated, but you can do it. There is a thing in software, well, not even in software. Well, I guess it's a big umbrella of software engineering, but really in front-end development work, where there's a really famous golden rule called 2 clicks to content. You always want the user to be within 2 clicks of whatever the hell they're trying to do. It better be 2 clicks or less. Does everyone understand that? So look at here. What? This is stupid. Let me give it a real name here because I'm going to give my name. All right. All right. Now that's saved. So I'm going to go back to a route to root. Okay. Look at this user right here, Guillermo. I have to click on him and then I have to click edit or delete, right? Yeah. This could be slightly different, right? This could be hover over, right? And the 2 buttons could pop up. This is just a stylistic choice. I'm just pitching you something else you could try if you get bored with everything else, right? I come in here, right? And I could click it and open, or an edit button or a delete button can roll up here. Or you can even bring in material UI and bring in icons, right? You can bring an edit icon and a trash icon, right? And it deletes it without having to go to another or render another component, right? You can do it from here. If you click the edit button, then the edit component rolls up. But if you want to delete it, just give them the option right here. They shouldn't have to go into that component and then delete it. You can pop it up right here. Now that's harder to do. Got to figure out the data flow, how that works. But the first order of business would be, hey, can you get some material UI icons to show up here on the dropdown? And then can you click it and can that same modal open? And can you delete it? That'd be dope. Again, just giving you stretch ideas. But yeah, mess with that. Questions about the stress challenge? You can tackle any one of these in any order that you want. All of them will improve the user experience of this application. All of them will. Make sense? Questions? All righty. If there are no questions, Anybody add any functionality that wasn't included in the README? any of the challenge requirements at all?
No, I got to the search component of the stretch goal.
Gotcha. Did you get anything to work by chance, or did you?
Not on the search, but on the there's like probably 4 or 5 components before, not components, but basically manipulations to the components before that I got to work.
Sweet. Awesome. Anyone else? The search one's an interesting one, right? Because it's a group of components. Well, it's really just the search component, right? But what makes up that component is kind of a lot of things, right? And maybe more than one function. Does everyone understand that? So that's probably the hardest ones out of everything listed in the README and kind of all the other made up ones that I gave you. So yeah, give it a shot. Any questions so far about what we've covered with React Router? Sorry, I had to sneeze. No questions? All right, so I'll just leave you with this question then. What's the purpose of React Router? Why do people use it?
To validate information on the client side.
Yeah, that's it. If you understand that, you're in good shape. Now, being able to do it, it's another. Go ahead. What was your question, Adam?
I didn't hear what Nick said. Sorry.
Go ahead, Nicholas.
To validate information on the client side.
Validated information on the client side, right? And routing, don't forget that, right? But also routing client side, right? It's just cheaper overall, more efficient. All right, guys, that's all I have for you. If you didn't get very far on the second part of an assignment, I would probably take a break and probably put a little bit more time in. These challenges, I mean, React, you're going to use React in your final project. Was it next week? I think we start, or the week? Yeah, I think it's next week. So you'll be doing this directly. Make sense? Yes? That's all I have. Have a wonderful Saturday.
Peace, everyone.
Take it easy, guys.